ولا تخزني يوم يبعثون يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is our third, right? Third after Isha lesson. The first lesson we mentioned 3 states, 3 conditions that a servant of Allah Azza wa Jal will never be out of these 3 states. He will always be in one of these states. Okay? What are the 3 states?
Shukr, sabr, sin.
Shukr, sabr, seeking forgiveness. You cannot change the system. If you're saying the good thing, you need to continue the good thing. Okay? So shukr when he's in a blessing, sabr when he's in a trial, a hardship, and seeking forgiveness when he sins. A Muslim, a servant of Allah Azza wa Jal, needs to make sure he's always in one of these conditions, because the fact is he's always either living a certain blessing from Allah Azza wa Jal, or living through a certain hardship, or have committed a sin. So this is the situation. And then we went to the first thing, which is shukr, and we identified the pillars or the supports of shukr, and there were 3 too. What are they? 3, not you. Somebody else.
By heart, by tongue, by action.
Okay, shukr comes first by recognition, by the heart, that Allah Azza wa Jal is the one who blessed you with this blessing. So that's heart, that's inward. Okay, and then outward you start mentioning Allah Azza wa Jal, that He blessed you, doing dhikr, doing invocation, saying Alhamdulillah. So this is the second pillar of shukr. The third pillar of shukr is using this blessing that Allah Azza wa Jal gave you, this specific blessing that Allah Azza wa Jal gave you, using it to please Allah Azza wa Jal, in the way of pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal. So these are the 3 pillars of shukr. If you do them, you will do what to the blessing? Secure the blessing. You will secure the blessing. The second was sabr, and we talked about also 3 supports, 3 pillars for sabr. What are they? I want 3 different people to remember them. You're not one of them, of sabr, because you already said. Okay? So let's do sabr, 3 pillars of sabr. Restraining heart from anger. Restraining heart from anger. So your heart shouldn't be angry that you're going through this hardship. Your anger shouldn't be subjected at Allah Azza wa Jalla. You shouldn't be angry that you are in this specific situation. Your heart should be satisfied. This is, of course, satisfied is a higher level, but at least don't be angry. At least, at the minimum, don't be angry that you're in this hardship at Allah Azza wa Jalla. So this is number 1. Number 2 is not to complain. Don't keep on complaining about the hardship that you're in, because this means that there is something in the heart. Okay? This is wrong. When you keep on complaining, your wife, when do we complain, by the way? My parents used to tell me, usually you complain your wife when she's bad, and when she's good, you do not tell us she's good. So we only take the bad side of it, right? We only see the bad side of your wife, although your wife is mostly good. So if you can't complain when she's bad, you give us the impression that she's bad, but she's not. Actually, you complain rarely. You rarely complain. So when you complain, you're giving the impression that Allah Azza wa Jal is not good to you. You're spreading a false image of Allah Azza wa Jal, which is wrong. Wrong for yourself and wrong for others. So this is the second pillar. The third pillar, the third support is what? It's also restraining yourself, but not from heart, not from tongue, something else.
Behavior? Your behavior?
Yes, restraining your behavior MashaAllah, Brother Arif didn't attend, but he knows. He can come give the lesson now. So restraining your behavior. Do not react. Because you're now in a hardship. Do not react in a way that displeases Allah Azza wa Jal. We give examples of women, for example, when they hear their husband dies, doing like this. It's in Egyptian culture. I don't know if it's in every culture or not. This is haram. The Prophet ﷺ actually said that this is haram. This precise action is haram. We also mentioned anger and like shouting and having red face and hurting other people's feelings. This is haram. And you do this as a reaction and you're angry. That's the opposite of patience. That's not patience. Okay? And then Ibn Qayyim said, for God, Allah does not try the servant. He does not try, we said try is from trial, from testing. So this hardship is a test. Okay? For Allah Azza wa Jal does not try the servant in order to destroy him. We said, remember this word very, very, just engrave it in your heart and mind. Remember it because you will need it. We are sure all of us to go through hardships. And when in the hardship sometimes we get into the feeling Allah is destroying me. No, Allah Azza is not destroying. He doesn't need to destroy you. So, does not try the servant in order to destroy him. Rather, He tries him to put his patience and devotion to the test. To put his patience and devotion to the test. Okay, why? For the servant, owes devotion, owes sincerity, owes worship, owes service. The servant is due to do these things to Allah Azza wa Jal. The servant has to do these things. He has to exhibit devotion, exhibit love, exhibit obedience, exhibit surrendering to Allah Azza wa Jal. Exhibit these things to Allah Azza wa Jal in affliction as well as in ease. In affliction, in hard situations, in times of stress, in times of hardship, as well as in ease, in good times when he's getting his things done on time and in the way he likes and everything is good. Usually worship is relatively easy in this time. Relatively, not always easy, because sometimes it's too easy for you to actually leave this easiness and go to pray or go to the mosque or do something. But doing good when the conditions are good for doing good, when the conditions are ripe for doing good, when the conditions are in the perfect conditions for doing good is easy. The problem is when you're in a hardship. Allah Azza wa Jal wants you to show your devotion in both cases. Allah Azza wa Jal wants you to show your devotion in both cases. For the servant owes devotion in affliction as in ease. He must have as much devotion in what he hates as in what he loves. And he will give examples, so I don't want to explain it. And while most people offer devotion in what they love, most people offer devotion in what they love. So for example, you find, for example, that playing cricket with the community is a devotion. It's kind of devotion. It's kind of worship, right? It's a kind of worship. Strengthening your relationship with your fellow brother Muslims is what? It's a worship, it's a devotion, it's an exhibition of devotion to Allah. But this is an easy one, except if you're bad at cricket, maybe that's another thing. But if you're good at cricket, this is an easy thing. You like doing it, right? This is an easy devotion. So he must have as much devotion in what he hates as in what he loves. So you have Pakistani people and Indian people and people who love cricket, Bangladeshi people. You have to play with us football. Okay, maybe you hate football, but you have to play with us football because this is what you hate. So if you are trying to strengthen your relationship and link with your fellow brother Muslims, you should do it in what you love as well as in what you hate. Okay? This is the correct way to do it. And while most people offer devotion in what they love, it is important to do so in the things they hate. It is by this that servants' ranks are distinguished and their stations are determined. It is by this, by the difficult test, not by the easy test, that servants are distinguished by Allah's measure, not by human measure, are distinguished by Allah's measure. And their stations and status in the eyes of Allah Azza wa Jal are determined by these, by the trials and tests, by offering devotion in times of affliction. Ablution, wudu, with cold water in searing heat, is devotion. So when the weather is hot and you have to do wudu with cold water, it's a blessing, right? You like doing wudu in this weather, like, wow, I'll have cold water on my face, on my body, to give me energy. Sexual relations with one's beautiful and beloved spouse is devotion also. Something that the person loves, and it's something, it's a devotion. You do it for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. You do it, it's Allah Azza wa Jal wants you to do that for you and for your wife and for the ummah, for several reasons. Spending money for her, for one's children, for oneself is devotion. So these are various acts. This is money that you want to spend. You want to feed your kids. You love feeding your kids. You love feeding your wife. You love spending money on them. This is something you love. It is devotion no less of a devotion than ablution, wudu, with cold water in the winter, in bitter cold, when you don't have heater working. You have to do wudu. Maybe ghusl, you have permission to, in cold water, if you don't have, in cold weather, if you don't have except cold water, and you can't reach hot water by any means, ghusl, you have permission to do tayammum. And there's a hadith by Amr ibn al-As, and I don't remember who, but he, in a certain, companions were together. They were out in a battle, and then on the way, it was at night and it was very cold. One of them woke up and he needed to do ghusl, and he asked, he had a fever, he was ill, and he wanted to do tayammum, and they told him, no, you cannot do tayammum, and he did ghusl and died. They returned to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, قَتَلُوهُ قَتَلَهُمُ اللَّهِ. They killed him, may Allah Azza wa Jal kill them. أَلَا سَأَلَوْا إِذْ لَمْ يَعْلَمُوا. They ought to have asked when they didn't know. إِنَّمَا شِفَاءُ الْعِيِّ السُّؤَالِ. The cure to those who don't know is asking and knowing and learning. So if it's bitter cold and you're required to do ghusl and you're ill, do not do ghusl then, okay? Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't want to kill us. Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't want us to hurt ourselves. But there is an extent to which you have to push yourself. And I'll actually, let me talk about this. So a brother, after last lesson, last night came and asked me, he told me, Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't ask a person of something beyond his capacity, right? We know that. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah Azza wa Jal doesn't oblige us to do something beyond our capacity. Yet, when put in hardships, when put in tests and trials, we fail many times. We fail. Does this mean that this test is beyond our capacity? So I told him no. Imagine a factory that has the capacity to produce 6,000 cars every day. 6,000 cars every day. And then a client comes to this factory. A customer comes to this factory. and tells them, I want 9,000 cars tomorrow. They tell them at night, of course. I want to make it... okay, I want 9,000 cars because I have a ship waiting. I want to send these cars to Indonesia. Okay? So, and it's either 9,000 or zero. Okay? This is... So the factory has the capacity of producing 6,000. But if the owner pushes the workers and tells them do this and gives them bonus extra time and tells them we will work 20 shifts this specific day. Of course, there is nothing called 20 shifts. I'm exaggerating to make you laugh, but you don't. And things like that. And he pushes the workers and the management and so on. They could deliver the 9,000, but he could decide not to do that, not to push himself and not to push the people. So it's his decision in the end. He had to stretch his original capacity, what he used to do. He had to move beyond that. He had to go an extra mile. But he decided not to do that. So Allah Azza wa Jal knows that it is within our capacity limits. We can do that. But we will need to stretch ourselves. Go beyond our comfort zones. So as such, we are the ones choosing not to succeed. We are the ones choosing to fail. So this is also important. So we're talking about, it is no less devotion than ablution with cold water and bitter cold, giving up vice, sin, okay, to which one's soul is driven without fear of people. So we were talking about the relationship with the wife, which is something halal, something good. Actually, it can be more than halal. Okay? And this is a type of devotion, a type of worship. On the other side, you have to stop yourself from such desires, from pursuing such desires, when these desires are like a fire burning inside you, and the situation is ripe for that, and the situation is perfect for that, okay? And you don't have anybody to fear. You don't have a reputation to fear. Okay? This is a very, very difficult situation to actually perform this ibadah. And it's of the same door, of the same type as the previous one, okay? This is also devotion, but it's a very difficult devotion. This is also worship, but it's a very difficult worship. And giving charity in hardship. So we've talked about spending on your wife and kids as a devotion in ease. A devotion that you love. But giving charity in a hardship situation is something that you certainly do not like. You want every single yen. In the UK we have a sub-unit, which is pence. Pence. But your unit is very small, so you don't have a sub-unit. You don't have anything under the yen. In the UK, in Egypt we had something, but I don't think it will be used anymore because we have big inflation now, so our smaller units will not be. We have the pound and we have something under the pound, but it's not going to be used in the future anymore. So, but there is a great difference between the two kinds of devotion. Which two kinds?
Hardship one and ease.
Devotion in affliction and devotion in ease. There's a big... Listen to the coming sentences because they are outstanding. He who is Allah's servant in both states, maintaining his duty in both comfort and adversity, hardship, difficult situations, is the one to whom his words, Allah's words refer. أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِكَافٍ عَبْدَهُ. أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِكَافٍ عَبْدَهُ. Is not God sufficient for his servant? This verse asks a question. Of course, it's a rhetorical question. It's a question that's not expecting an answer from you because the answer is clear. Okay? أَلَيْسَ اللَّهُ بِكَافٍ عَبْدَهُ. Is not God sufficient for his servant? This means that what? That God is sufficient for his servant. Ibn Qayyim is saying now that, okay, the fact is I'm not totally satisfied currently. That means that Allah Azza wa Jal is not fulfilling everything I need, right? Yes, because you are not fulfilling the description of servant fully. Why? You are fulfilling 50% of the description of servant. You are doing servant when?
Ease.
In ease. You are doing cricket, no football. Okay? You are doing cricket, no football. You do only the worship you like. The worship that is hard, you don't do. If, for example, fasting now is long day, fasting now, the day is long. No, I won't do it. Fasting in the winter, when you have Maghrib at 4, you don't have time to eat. You wake up, go to work, and then, oh, I didn't eat anything today, I'll do fasting. And then you find food coming. You do fasting in winter, but fasting in summer, it's difficult. Okay? So you want the description of servant. The full description of servant to get the full reward of sufficiency from Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay? With complete devotion comes complete sufficiency. With complete devotion comes complete sufficiency. And with less comes what is less. If you don't give what you have to give, don't expect to take what you want to take. This is simple justice. This is simple justice. It's not injustice. This is simple justice. Maybe Allah Azza wa Jal would give you more by His mercy. Okay. But you need to have your formula correct in your mind. The formula needs to be correct. Let him who discerns some good give praise to Allah, but let whoever finds something other than this blame no one but himself. Okay? We can give a couple of more lines, inshallah. These are the servants over whom Allah's foe means enemy, has no control. Who are the servants who the shaitan has no control over? Who?
Those who have full trust.
Those who have complete devotion. Those who offer complete ibadah, complete worship in ease as well as in affliction. Those the shaitan has no control over. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, "Lo, as for my servants, you have no power over them. Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan." Inna ibadi. Again, Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying that specific people with specific description, okay, shaitan will have no control over. Who are these specific people with the specific description? They are ibadi, my servants. Okay? Then the more you are towards the description of ibadi, the more percentage you get in the description of ibadi. You have 50% affliction, 50% ease. The more you do of that, the more you will be outside of the control of shaitan. And when his foe Iblis, Allah's almighty foe, Iblis learned that he would not let his devout servants yield to him. So when shaitan knew that Allah Azza wa Jal will forbid him from reaching these devout servants, these sincere servants, these servants that offer the full, complete ibadah, worship, or give him control over them, he proclaimed, "Then by your might I will surely beguile them all save for your sincere servants among them. فبعزتك لأغوينهم أجمعين إلا عبادك منهم المخلصين." So shaitan is saying that he will try to trick us all into sin. Okay? Except who? Except عبادك منهم المخلصين, your sincere servants. And again, he used the word عبادك. The description عبادك. Those who fulfill the description of عبادة fully. Those who offer عبادة fully. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. We'll continue tomorrow إن شاء الله. This is Egyptian night?